Okay, we are live now. This is the Local Government by County Agency Subcommittee of the Environment and Transportation Committee. And it is St. Patrick's Day in the afternoon. And we have a subcommittee meeting. And we're going to deal with a few and discuss a few bills. I'm going to start with the easiest one, which is the Washington County Sheriff's salary alteration. This, I believe, has no opponents. It's a local bill. We have the letter in place with all the support of the local delegation.
Move favorable.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say no. Thank you very much. At least we got something done. Well, now we're going to talk.
Move to adjourn.
No, we have three bills that we need to discuss. We'll see what, I just want to see what people feel about a couple of these. This county and municipalities water transfer fee authorization. This is House Bill 1328. And
What does it do?
it authorizes the governing body of a county or municipality to impose a fee on a person who holds a permit under the title of the environment article and transfer surface water or groundwater outside a watershed. It seemed like a very odd thing. I've never heard of any, I mean, usually there's like wars about water rights, but I don't know about charging fees within the state if you're outside different watersheds. This is Delegate Hornberger's bill, if you may recall the hearing. It seems very odd to me. Does anybody have any thoughts on it? I kind of think that we could do without it.
Okay.
Can we have a motion?
Are we meeting again?
Probably.
Could I ask to hold the bill? Because I'm like you, I don't really know what it was all about. I know it's got a lot of unfavorables, but I'd like to talk to Delegate Hornberger to see if there was
Sure.
a specific issue he was trying to address.
Okay, sure, we can hold it. Can hold it
Thank
forever.
you.
I don't. All right. We'll hold that one. And then we'll move on to another one that is also controversial. This is Carroll County Prospective Employees and Volunteers Criminal History Records Check. This is not just for those dealing with children, which a lot of organizations do. This is like any employee or volunteer for the county government. Repeals authorization for the commissioners to request from CJIS state. Why don't you explain this a little bit, Matt? I'm not, just doesn't seem right. Go ahead.
Well, so as you know, the bill repeals existing language with regard to Carroll County and criminal history record checks, and would, sorry, I'm just taking a minute to look at my notes. As part of it authorizes the Department of Human Resources for Carroll County to request from the Central Repository, which means the Criminal Justice Information System Central Repository of public from the Department of Public Safety, a state and national criminal history records check for a prospective employee or volunteer of Carroll County.
And what do they want to do with this information?
Hang on, guys. I'm supposed to be in a subcommittee meeting.
The way I understand it is they want to take the authority from the Board of County Commissioners and give it to their Department of Human Resources, which is where it belongs, I believe. Because the county commissioner, that's probably how it's done now. I doubt seriously the county commissioners are doing their own background checks. It's probably being done by the Department of Human Resources within Carroll County. I think it's just a corrective measure.
Well, not entirely.
Yeah, right, Matt, go ahead, explain,
Yeah,
please.
not entirely. So I mean, you are correct, Elliot Weigel, in that the current power rests with the county commissioners of Carroll County. However, the county commissioners of Carroll County are able to request the state and national criminal history record checks for a current or prospective employee who is or will be assigned to a position that involves inspections, approval or denial of a permit, license, or other grant of authority, work in the offices of the county commissioners, sheriff, state's attorney, circuit court, or county attorney, or collecting or handling money, or current or prospective employees that have a contract with Carroll County if the contract involves work in a place that requires security of personnel or files. So that would be like the county courthouse, local correctional facility, state's attorney's office. This particular provision here doesn't really have any sort of limiting language like that. It's just that the Department of Human Resources can request state and national criminal history records checks for a prospective employee or volunteer of Carroll County.
So it broadens who they can do these checks on, right?
Yeah, the limiting language that's in current law doesn't appear to be replicated.
That changes who and what.
So current law has limited groups of people who the county commissioners are authorized to request these criminal history records checks for. In the current language, and this is page, or the proposed language on page 2, lines 26 through 29 of the bill, there aren't really any limitations listed here. It's just that the Department of Human Resources of Carroll County may request these record checks for a prospective employee or volunteer of Carroll County, period.
A prospective or current? It doesn't include a current employee, just a prospective.
Prospective employee, there was an amendment, which unfortunately I don't have in front of me. Let me pull that up very quickly. But that dealt with a continuing duty to update. I apologize.
I have concerns about that aspect of it, because we've put a lot of effort into helping people get into employment. And I mean, if they're not handling money and they're not working with children, and if they're going to be doing things like, collecting the trash or tearing up the street, paving or other city or county services.
So the letter from Carroll County says it expands our authority to conduct criminal history background checks from a prescribed number of employee categories to any prospective employee, and adds that authorization for volunteers.
Yeah, that seems like very far-reaching government.
Well, it says the language is drawn directly from current law in several counties.
Which counties?
It says 10 counties are currently authorized to conduct these checks for prospective employees, and of those 10, 7 are authorized to conduct for volunteers.
It says similar. Is it how similar is this to this bill? The statutory authority. I'm just reading from the fiscal note. How does that relate to? Is this plowing new ground?
So the counties that have, and I'm just noting from DLS, from the fiscal and policy notes, similar statutory authority exists for Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Caroline, Dorchester, Howard, Kent, Prince George's, Talbot, Washington, and Wacomico counties. However, again, I would just note that the language used is similar statutory authority. I'm not sure.
We don't know if it's not, it may not be identical, and we don't know how substantive the differences may be from what's proposed in this bill, right? We don't know. I think we probably need to find that out before we can vote on this, to find out exactly how far-reaching this is, if it's something that's a new broadening of authority for a local government, or if it is actually replicating what's being done elsewhere. I think that's an important thing to know.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we'll just hold that until we get that information. Is there anybody, other information you want to get before we let it go?
So they're not just adding Carroll County's name to the list of counties that currently have the authority.
This creates a whole new section specific to Carroll County in the local government, in the criminal procedure article. My apologies.
Yes, we may need to find out. We need more information about that. If it was just adding to a list that it was all the same, it might make a difference, but.
Can I add to that? And maybe you already have the answer to this, but does it change the scope of what they can search for, or it only changes the scope of who they can do a background check for?
So currently the county commissioners may request it's just a state and national criminal history records check from the central repository. No, they get the same information.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
no, it said they were adding volunteers. Apparently they don't have the authority right now to do criminal background checks on volunteers.
Right, so the who
Correct,
is
but they would
expanding,
get the
but not
same
the what.
Same source of information.
Right.
It would be the authority is changed to include volunteers, but it's coming from the same repository of information.
You know, I don't know if this would be driven by insurance companies or not, because my employer, our insurance company actually requires or insists that we do background checks on any volunteers as well. So that might be part of the request.
But yeah, I think we might need more information. So we could find that out too. And maybe Carroll County can provide us with what they actually are trying to do with this bill. Maybe if we have another meeting on this, we can have somebody from Carroll County who would be doing this work explain to us what their intentions are, so we, because it's not real clear. It's kind of vague right now. Okay. Any other questions on this bill? We're going to give it to Matt to make some inquiries and match up what the law is for the other counties that have something similar. Okay. All right, we'll move along. We have the bill, have a lot of people in the room here to discuss or to answer questions about House Bill 1312. That's the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund alterations. So Matt, would you first explain what the bill proposes to do and what, if other amendments?
Yes, so generally the bill authorizes the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund within MDEM or the Maryland Department of Emergency Management to make loans to, and the bill has been modified to remove DHCD's involvement, but to make various loans to local governments for particular hazard mitigation projects and authorized uses under the fund. There are amendments on the bill. The First Amendment would strike the involvement of DHCD, and I'm working off of HB 1312, 713-4241. Second Amendment would authorize the funds to be used for administrative and for the administration and management of the fund. Third, the amendments would also specify private funds received by the fund for the purpose of hazard mitigation projects for a building shall be used for that purpose specifically. And the amendments would also authorize, rather than require, local governments to establish a graduated program for loan forgiveness subject to certain terms. There were additional amendments adopted.
I'm sorry. What? Say that again.
There were additional amendments adopted with regard to local governments that would establish that loans may be made to a local government for certain purposes on application of a local governing body. So that on application of the local governing body language was added.
Are these amendments, have these amendments already been added to the Senate bill?
I
Is
don't,
that, where did these amendments come from? I'm
What
sorry.
do you mean adopted?
Delegate, if I may, as the Senate cross-file of the bill, we did adopt, those amendments came from our office.
And have they been adopted in the Senate?
I do not think there's been a voting session on the bill yet.
So,
there has
Okay.
not been a voting session yet in the Senate.
Okay, so none of these amendments have been adopted. They are proposed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so these are all proposed amendments, but they come from the Senate sponsor? Is that correct, Brandon?
Yes. In our conversations with MDEM, so Anna Sierra here, and then Roderick Scott from the Flood Mitigation Industry Association, there were some clarifying provisions or some technical corrections that we wanted to make. So we put those in as sponsor amendments.
All right, so Delegate Watson, you're the sponsor of this bill, correct?
Yes,
Would you like to explain to the subcommittee just, what the status of it is now and what you'd like to see happen? So
well,
we have a place to start.
sure. We've been working in parallel with Senator Hester on the Senate side, and we're attempting to get them in the same format. And we did have some questions from Mako, and various phone calls ensued, and we believe the bill with the amendments presented is now ready to be moved forward. And we do have people here if you have questions about specific amendments, but we do believe it is ready to go.
Okay, and let me ask, is Mako on the line here?
Yes, Madam Chair. DePaul Nibber on behalf of Mako.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Can you verify, are you okay with these? Have these all been worked out now? All these
Yes,
amendments?
we've had a chance to review and it looks good to us.
Okay, are there any other stakeholders in this Zoom now?
Roderick Scott is here from the Flood Mitigation Industry Association.
Okay, Mr. Scott?
Yes, thanks, Chairwoman, and the members of the subcommittee. I'm Roderick Scott. I'm the board chair of the Flood Mitigation Industry Association, a 501c3 nonprofit. And we've just tried to be available wherever we can in multiple states right now that are moving through this process. Maryland provided the foundation for the new state resilience revolving loan in the country after the passing of the Storm Act. And it was brought to Maryland's attention, both Delegate Watson and Senator Hester, that in 2018, I attended a closed meeting at the Treasury building with all the banks and Fannie and Freddie. And there is extreme concern in the financial marketplaces about these really aggressive flood insurance rates and increasing flood risk to the old buildings. It's basically all these old buildings that we built when we settled the states near the water. And they've got to be adapted to be able to take on climate change. And so this bill adds this private component. At the end of the meeting in the Treasury building, the bank said, if you provide us a revolving loan, talking to the Treasury, they said they'll loan the country $600 billion to fix all these 3 or 4 million old buildings. And that's how we kind of came about this revolving loan concept. So we're here to support this. We think it's a great move.
Okay, so we're coming up against a deadline because there are 2 other subcommittees that are about to meet, and I just need to summarize this, and we're not going to be able to vote on it today, but I want to make sure I understand clearly. These amendments, do we have the consensus amendments with the language here in the committee? Does Matt have all the language?
The link, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but the amendment link that I gave, HB 1312-713-4241, is the amendment that Mako and the sponsor's office had worked on, and that both the Senate and House sponsors are working together on that amendment.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions before we have to adjourn because we have other meetings to get to? Any members of the committee have any questions? Okay, we'll take this up first thing next time.
oh, okay.
Thank you very much. And everybody get to their next meeting and we'll continue this conversation later. Bye-bye.